Dip Nation. It's the Too Much Dip podcast. My name is Dave. I'm going to host and direct this sports conversation to places that you never thought it would go. Joining me in studio, producing as always, it's Randy Trumbacki.
Hi, David.
Hey, man. Thanks for that offering.
Hey, let me tell you, Purdue stinks.
Right. You got that right.
They stink, baby.
Here's a guy who's here to do some podcasting with the Celsius. It's Dylan Shivery.
Just signed up to do the turkey trot in Austin, Texas on Thanksgiving morning. Better
Dude,
than all of you.
that's so unique. No one
Get
does
my
that.
steps in.
That's
I'm
so
not going to run it.
unique.
I'm going to walk it.
Oh,
It's not going to be much of a trot.
okay. Why not run it?
I don't want to run it.
Are you with somebody who doesn't want to run it? You're being nice?
I'm with myself. I'm not much of a runner anymore.
You're doing it solo?
I am a track star, though.
Did you just try to flex on us and then say you're going to run it and walk it?
Yeah. You're not doing it.
I might just do it now and slightly jog
I
it just
fucking
to,
do
to
it,
show
then,
you.
bitch.
that I don't-
Sign up,
yes. Randy. Randy would definitely burn your ass.
Yeah, I'm walking, so yeah, it'd be pretty easy to do.
But like if y'all were to run a race, I think Randy burns you.
Yeah, probably
I think
so.
Randy's sneaky fast. Not even sneaky. Didn't you
He's
run
also
track?
just younger than I am. And
Yeah, but with distance, though, I'm a natural sprinter, lethal over short distances.
wow,
Lethal.
deadly.
Oh, that's good stuff. KJ, did you run track?
Yes, I did. From one natural sprinter to Randy.
Hey,
Come on, man.
Yes, I did for a short period of time until one Olympic gold medalist, Jeremy Warner, humbled me, and I decided never again.
Baylor's own.
So, Baylor's own, that is true. Big weekend for the Baptists. I didn't even throw that on the rundown. That's an insult to 5 and 4 teams around the country.
We could talk about rushing the field as a it's as a home favorite. They had a lot of big recruits in town. To be fair, it's their rival. Aranda had never beat TCU. And you know what? It's been a bad season. They've won 3 in a row. One more, you're bowl eligible. Aranda keeping his job. So there you go. Rush the field. Fuck it. Rush the field.
Did you see that at the Iowa game over the weekend? Someone on a sprinter from their track team ran a 4.15.
What?
Some white cheese. Yeah.
Wait,
White guy. I think he is. Yeah.
yes. Wait, yes, of course.
Come
But
out. The white cheese?
I think we're all, that's where we're both paused at.
Is that slang?
You never heard white cheese? A white guy. Kalen Walker.
I've heard crazy ass white boy. I've heard bitch ass white boy. I've heard white boy.
He ran a 4.15.
That's what?
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
I know.
He's a track star, like you.
He's a runner and he's a track star.
You think he's walking the trot?
He's not sprinting it the whole way.
What if he did?
That'd be impressive. Anyway,
Wait, so
Anyhow.
this is at a?
I think it was like halftime of the Iowa football game over the weekend.
That's their halftime show.
Apparently.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
White athletes doing incredible athletic feats.
White cheese.
White people doing athletic feats.
That's fast. That's moving.
They absolutely demolished Wisconsin. So, yeah, I was going to ignore that game.
That's classic KJ ignoring games. No, I was curious if you ran track because I felt like if you played a position, if you were wider, a number of positions were basically forced to run track
Mhm.
if you played football. Not
Correct.
forced, but like strongly encouraged just to get your speed up. And I figured defensive back at Arlington Lamar was no different.
1,000%. What you might call small skill positions. We're all kind of mandated to have a second sport, as I cannot dribble with my left hand. Track and field is what it was until it wasn't. So yeah, a little more about me, but that's also why I stand on business when I say anytime that Randy wants it,
let's do it.
line them up,
Damn.
lace them up. I need
No.
like 6 to 7 weeks of notice and a free yoga membership in between there, and maybe insurance for my hamstrings, and I will race them and I will win.
It will have to be in a non-company sanctioned event because we cannot pay for the 8 weeks of physical therapy and potential surgery.
And I will say, the way my insurance is set up, it'll have to happen within the bounds of the state of Wisconsin.
Okay.
Everything else is out of network. We're getting some tough restrictions.
A lot of caveats here.
Speaking of hamstrings, breaking news. It looks like number 4's hamstring is worse off than imagined. So this season's not going well. It might be done. We'll get to that later, though. Right now, go check out Rowback. Use code WASHED20. WASH20. Fun fact, I've got a gym bag out there right now. It's got a Rowback hat.
Funner fact, this beautiful green shirt you see right now that I'm wearing is a Rowback shirt.
Green? I'm just kidding. I was just trying to get in your dome a little bit.
You can't do that to me. That's messed up.
Not even kind.
Look, it's hoodie season. It's QZ season. Jogger season. It's always polo season.
Walker season if you're you. Trotting season.
It's walking season. All that you can get at Rowback. Code WASHED20 will get you 20% off at checkout. It is a one-time use code.
Load that bish up.
Load that bish up.
WASHED20.
WASHED20.
Give us a rating, a review, a 5-star rating, hopefully, and review the pod. Give it a few days after you listen. If your team was slighted by KJ, maybe don't give us the review right then. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, just rate us, review us, do all that. Check us out on Too Much Dip on YouTube. Where shall we begin? I guess we got to talk. Can we talk Kelce real quick just to get it out of the way?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even add Embiid, but let's just package brotherly love together.
Okay. Let's start with Embiid. Initially reported that he punched a journalist. Then it was like, well, actually, no, he shoved him. And then now it seems like it's just kind of died a little bit. I'm not seeing enough on the TL about it.
I think once the defense, once we heard both sides, per se, people stopped rushing to the defense of the reporter. They were no longer like, oh, yeah, he's got a place just doing his job, man, asking the tough questions. But when we learned he had referenced Embiid's brother that had passed, a quick hand to the throat was apparently warranted, it seems like.
Okay. Well,
I missed this entirely.
Dude, it happened like Saturday night, I think. It was a weird time, and it felt like only basketball Twitter was talking about it.
Correct.
And it was an NBA event, but it seemed like a much bigger deal. I was like, did a player finally go off on a journo? And then it came out that the journo might have did invoke in a previous column Embiid's deceased younger brother.
Oh, shit.
Just unnecessarily, weirdly, trying to make a point that he's not playing it was weird. And everyone's siding with Embiid. So there you go. That's pretty much all you need to know.
So, yes, that happened. Sandwiched in between Jason Kelce and NFL Sunday. So we didn't get much Embiid talk, but yeah.
Yeah.
Why did we get 7 videos of the Jason Kelce incident? Before one headline existed, I saw a compilation video. And then I saw this story, but it was 2 different websites. But I saw that of 6 angles before I saw anything. That was incredible work by the
This
internet.
famous guy walking through a group of Gen Z. I don't know. Everyone got their phones out. That's just how it goes these days, I guess.
Carrying his
a 12er.
12er of his beer, right? Garage beers?
Is that his beer? Garage beer?
Just saying. A lot of camera angles.
He had in
lot of
one
promo.
hand, he was carrying an open beer and a 12-pack of beer in the same hand.
Look, Dylan, no one's arguing with you. It was a TFM, obviously.
It was pretty.
You fucking
it was
know, dude.
Quite frat.
Unclear if the one in his hand was also from the shower, but
Probably not. But
who wants to read the quote of what was said to Jason Kelce?
I know Randy does.
I'll do it.
He's off camera. No, yeah, just the worst kid, just an idiot.
He wants to get a reaction out of someone and film it and post it to TikTok. That's his whole point here. And he said, your brother's a F word for dating Taylor Swift, which doesn't make a ton of sense.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Didn't follow it up with because of her carbon footprint.
No, I don't think
because
carbon
what she did
footprint
to Scooter
had much to do with it.
Scooter.
And so, yeah, Kelce turns around, snatches this little shithead's phone and spikes it through the earth.
One of the best phone spikes you'll see.
It was beautiful, honestly. And then picks it up and takes it with him for some reason. It is
Give me that.
hoping it's like, just in case it didn't break all the way. I don't know.
Like the lone source of evidence. I feel like that dated him real quick. Like as if he imagined like that's the only place that he could be like found guilty because of.
Did you see after the fact? Because I think he threw it back on the ground. The kid picked it up and he started yelling, Travis Kelce just broke my phone. What the hell? And he was like trying to play the victims and he like
Jason.
showed how his phone and like, no, yeah, he called him the wrong name too. So like everyone was like, not only are you trying to play the victim, you got the guy's name wrong too.
And then Kelce gets in this kid's face and says, who's the F word now? A couple different times. And then, I don't know, I guess there's been some discussion on whether or not he's allowed to use the word in that context.
Let's go around the room.
I'm not one to weigh in on that, but there are some people outspoken on the Bird app saying that he gets a free pass for that one.
I mean, heat of the moment.
Yeah.
Is what some would say.
Yeah.
Whereas like, it was the heat of the moment.
Speaking of TFM.
Spike in your cellular phone.
I'm fully team Kelce on this one. Minus
Fuck
the
yeah.
using the F word in that context. That's not what I'm talking about. But just like going after this kid's phone. Fuck that kid, man. This is such bullshit behavior. If you are one of these people who likes to get a rise out of people just to get it on camera and try to embarrass them or for social media clout or whatever, you're a piece of shit. I hate you.
Yeah, there's the who's the TikToker? This applies to 100 TikTokers.
Yeah,
I
think Jack Doherty is the one that
That
you're
kid.
thinking of.
His whole bit is
That kid.
almost
Which
getting
one?
his shit rocked.
Jack
Doherty. So
Okay, yeah.
Jack Doherty is this little white kid, and he has this huge security guard, big black dude who walks around with them, and he'll pick fights with people,
So bad.
or like he'll like intentionally just like shoulder check them like for no reason on the sidewalk, and then they get in his face, and his security guard will step in, and then he'll start talking shit behind the security guard's back, just like, "Oh yeah, what now, bitch?" It's fucking ridiculous. This kid is terrible.
Yeah.
And of course, he's rich because he has millions of followers on TikTok or whatever, Kick, whatever social media app he's using.
That was immediately what I thought of, and it's just I was trying to think like what. So I'm glad he didn't hit the kid because outside of having to pay for this kid's phone,
Yeah,
which
which
may
is
or may not
nothing.
happen, not a big deal, obviously. But I'm like, what else could he have done with that phone that would have been more hilarious? Now, if I would love to have seen him just like crow hop and just chunk that thing a mile.
Yes.
Because even though he was just an O lineman, I feel like he can still sling that thing.
While it's still recording, so you have the spinning sky on camera.
That would be sick.
Yes.
That's a video I would view.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm sure the kid's already been doxxed by now. Everybody knows who it is. But just a sad state of affairs. And this is why KJ didn't want to talk about that game because he knew it brought out the worst in people.
The Philly games that we're referring to? This was Wisconsin.
This is Penn
Iowa.
State. This is Penn State.
Oh, Penn State, that one.
Penn State,
Yeah,
Ohio
I'm
State.
sorry. It's in my agreement that I can no longer mention who should and should not have been at Ohio State, Penn State, because it's such a fucking riveting affair. Anyways.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Anyway.
James Franklin. Come on.
The last thing on Kelce, as Jason Kelce's 36, not too much younger than the three of us. I think this emphasizes, my lack of understanding of the youth's comfort with the man on the street bit. As you just pointed out, Jack Doherty, I think, is a singular example. But there are several imitations and several people who will, like, as a default, do the camera out in public, like towards other people, not on themselves. And I think in the past, you used to be like afraid of, man, if I slip on something in the mall or at the airport, I might get memed. Like that was one level. The on video camera in your face, like instigating shit, like I'm just not mentally prepared for. And I don't think Kelce was either. And I think that might be a generational gap. Like we are not equipped with like the proper comeback to be like, sorry, Skibbity Riz, bruh. And
Skibbity toilet.
Then you're now winning.
Yeah, you need to be more Sigma.
And was this kid planning on releasing this video like saying the F word like that into the camera. That's not a good look for him either. The whole thing is this kid's trash.
Edit it, bruh.
This kid's
That never
absolute
happened.
trash.
You gotta. That's what you're like. All right, I'm gonna taunt him. We're gonna go viral, and I'm gonna do the most
Yeah,
nonsensical.
call him a pussy or
There's
something.
a number of things you could have done that could have got under his skin and wouldn't have made you look like such an asshole.
Such a scumbag.
Just a bad look. But I don't know. People are asking if he's the new Hawk Tua. I don't think so.
Saw a lot of that. Yeah.
We got to talk headstands and not pee popping on one. We're talking end zone celebrations. Randy. Yeah, Bob.
All right. So who's the first dude to pull this off?
Alvin Kamara in Tennessee, allegedly.
Yeah. I love that we're so old and like so ridiculous that they threw the Alvin Kamara photo in black and white as if it was a historical artifact.
But someone did it on Saturday, right? A college football player did it.
So that happened like Thursday or Friday. We had like a FCS or a low-level college player who hit the headstand celebration, and that's what kind of brought this all back. And then you had somebody else, I don't know, but we had 2 or 3 people in the NFL pop it on Saturday or on Sunday, and all I can think of every time I see these photos is while Dave like was joking about the pee popping. It's like, in order to pull this off, it seems pretty clear that you've got to have your hands in the right position. And it just like, that's my eyes only gravitate to like the.
I see the hands. If you're not watching,
I don't know how to verbalize it, but just
goatsy
across the buttocks.
Okay. Alvin Kamara's form in this is impeccable, by the way. It's perfect.
His is the best by far.
Yeah.
Also has a favorable angle because said buttocks is not in view, but yeah.
Drake London gets a 6.2 here. This is not fantastic form.
The cameraman gets an 11 though.
Yeah, he's doing work.
It was a kid on an Incarnate Word who did this
Okay.
a few days back, which is, I love it when like I know Incarnate Word's like more
Growing.
Yeah, but it's funny when a kid there can catch on, and now you got Drake London, you got all these dudes doing it.
The celebration's great because you see it live, it's not all that cool, but you got it. Obviously, the picture that you can get when he's perfectly upright makes it just like the best thing ever. St. Brown did a good job.
Quick unnecessary detour on the Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word's associate head coach, running backs coach, Kenny Trill. Recall the name, Kenny Hill from Texas A&M great. And their D coordinator's my old possession coach from SMU, Jim Gush, and a former teammate of mine's on that staff. So
damn,
shout out to Incarnate Word.
Smoking on that gush. This is better than what the celebrations of a few weeks ago, and now we're just doing harmless headstands as opposed to headshots.
We're just b-boy. We're in our b-boy era now.
Yeah, we're
This
back
is
to
step
having
up
fun.
too.
We're having fun now. Although this should not be tried at home. I feel like this is a lot of strain on the neck. If you are someone with a weak neck, you gotta be very careful.
I was thinking that too.
I'm not doing it. I'm very comfortable with my neck, but I'm still not doing it.
I think we should all try this for content.
Do we have a helmet?
We don't need a helmet.
Randy
has a bike helmet we can use.
Wait, with no hands?
Yeah, I mean, you're only for a split second are you actually like doing like the full weight of your body.
That's still a lot of.
Go steal that guy's hat from Lifetime that always does the head spins.
His headspin hat is a beanie, dude. There's no cushion in it. You know, Dylan knows I'm talking about.
Oh, that guy's crazy.
That he's up there yesterday. This dude looks like Dan McDowell of Dumb Zone fame. And he just goes up to the gym. He doesn't lift. He just does breakdance positions. And he's got insane upper body strength. And he's probably like 50 years old. Shout out to that guy.
All right.
We did have the tweet, or someone sent the pic or the video last night of the dude on the Hawks who hit a 3 right by the opposing team's bench and just sprayed them. Like that's
He
It's
pulled out.
suspension worthy.
He pulled out the Mac-10 and just lit everybody up.
He was doubled up.
What was he?
He had the extendo clip in both of them.
God, he just took them all out.
Apparently, they traded him, and I'm hoping that it's one of those where like he had really good locker room relationships.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's balls of steel because like in football, you've got some protection and 84 other teammates or whatever around to hold your back, have your back if shit does pop off per se. Not in basketball. If somebody takes issue, like that's impressive.
Was he whistled for that? Was that any kind of foul or penalty?
It was former Pelican Dyson Daniels. Yes, they did get traded away, and it truly hard to say, Dylan.
Okay.
I was not tuned in. The Pels have a lot of injuries, so I was not tuned into that one.
You weren't watching the Pels?
No, I wasn't watching the Pels.
Okay.
Oh, that's stupid. Well, we got to give a little shout out to the World Series. It's done. I don't know if you saw that 5th inning. We should break it down right now. No one's done that.
Man, I was just really hoping that the gentleman, and I'm going to say gentleman, the Yankees fan who tried to rip the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove was the turning point in the Yankees making a historical comeback in that series. Didn't quite happen.
Do you know how beaten down? First of all, if that had happened, if they came back, that dude would have had a podcast, a successful sports radio, whatever.
He'd have a statue.
He would have been
never buy another drink in New York City again.
He would have been their rally monkey or whatever.
That was an all-time fan interference moment. I've never seen such an egregious interference as that. It was unbelievable.
But the real star of the show, of course, as KJ correctly pointed out, Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
Didn't do a whole lot of pitching in the World Series. I don't know if you noticed that. It was glaring omission.
Yeah.
Can we get the video?
Thank you for clarifying.
Sorry.
Yes. Here it is, everyone.
I hadn't thought about Kershaw since the beginning of the World Series, but I'm glad he. Oh man, this is great. This is a little post. This is a celebration. He's had a few pops, I assume. Guys, fun fact: Highland Park. He's a Scot.
That's true. Very true.
Here he is. Shirt off. Hell yeah, having a coldie.
Oh my God.
He's just an animal.
You know, I wouldn't have pegged Kershaw as being someone who was like ripped up or anything. He doesn't have that kind of, cachet to him.
I feel like most pitchers aren't ripped. You know what I mean?
But I didn't think he looked like this.
We will say he didn't get work this year, so he might have let it rip a little bit or a lot. I mean, that is a very, very.
Is he?
I have friends who look like that.
Is he flirting with retirement? Because if he shut it down for the season, 3 months ago, I could see him being like, fuck it. I don't need to stay in shape anymore if I'm going to retire. But I don't know if this is the end of his career or not. He's getting close. I know that.
Well, he is having left toe and left knee surgery on Wednesday.
Okay.
So look, I'm not body shaming, but I got to say that.
Player option for 2025. So he'll be collecting the second half of that 2-year, $10 million contract, I'm sure.
Yes, he will.
Long rumored to come back and pitch in Arlington. Long rumored.
For what?
The Rangers, they took their chance on an ace who was previously injured, and it didn't quite work out for them.
Who?
Yet.
DeGrom?
DeGrom.
Won the World Series.
Well,
Okay.
he didn't have much to do with it.
Who? Max Scherzer? Won the World Series.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so he pitched 8 games. Still, he didn't lose all those games. He could. I don't know. No, that's fair. But it would be fun to have that dude on your team, like a back end of the rotation guy. I don't know, especially now that he parties. Get him, Scotty, Stafford in a room just talking ball. Fuck it. He's not a Parkey, but throw Spieth in there. Let's get the whitest dudes in Dallas together.
Parkey.
You don't like that?
Nobody's doing Parkeys.
Come on, dude. Shout out to the Scots, man.
Man.
All right. Let's talk college football, if that's okay with KJ. Jeez.
Verbal suspension from baseball talk has been served. Thank you.
Hey, turns out, no, despite what you said, we did have a fun one in Happy Valley.
Yeah, I guess. Depends on what's fun.
Fun meaning there is meaningful football with 2 minutes left being played. A few minutes left.
Absolutely.
Drew
Aller was just a spectacle that everybody was ready to watch.
You had a goal line stand. You had just ineptitude at the goal line. You had James Franklin just not getting it done again. I guess I grossly underestimated how bad his record in big games, specifically top five against top five opponents. Because they've had great teams, but not teams that get over that hump.
I continue to not be super impressed with Ohio State's offense and specifically Will Howard. He's just a guy for me.
He's a gamer.
Is he?
He put off some dog at the end of the game.
He threw some wildly inaccurate passes
in
that game.
I'm saying he did enough to win. I'm going to compare him to KJ's. He'll take issue. This Max Dugan.
He's not a guy that you don't put the team on that guy's shoulders. For as much talent as that team has on it, he should be better.
I will say
he's just okay.
I'm going to give him. That's the first Ohio State game I've watched start to finish. That's rivalry game. That's big game on the road. Didn't look great, like you said. I'm going to give him a pass, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to need to see more than one game. I'm going to take it upon myself to watch more than one game before I give him stock up, stock down.
They got a tough one coming up. Probably the hardest one on their schedule, to be honest.
Let's look it up here. I've heard this is going to be a get-right game. Is it against Purdue?
It's against Purdue.
A get-right game. They just beat Penn State. But yeah.
Wait, Purdue has Penn State, Ohio State back-to-back?
Yeah. Like looking at their season, there was a point where like 5 of the next 6 games were all against ranked teams. It's still, they have Penn State, Ohio State, and IU, which is 9-0. And
like, no.
Who's this week? Penn State?
I'm pretty sure
Michigan State in between there too.
Yeah.
Ohio State is on the 16th.
Okay. Yeah. But still coming up soon. So be looking for that.
No, I'm sorry. That's Penn State. You're right. Ohio State's this week. Okay. My bad.
Either way, I'm not going to watch, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, KJ, I'll allow you to opine.
Look, I'll take this angle. Either one of the two things is accurate. Either Penn State is decent and the Big Ten deserves more credit for its level of competition, which I think in some ways they get that if you look at the fact that Penn State hardly dropped any in the rankings. Or it quite possibly could be the case that Penn State's a tremendous program, top tier in the country. They have not had a quarterback since Michael Robinson. Don't even know what to say, like, other than that. Like, it's inexplicable that you can have a program of that significance. Like, we're kind of picking nits with Will Howard. Like, he's good. Like, okay, him and Dylan Gabriel, in my book, pre-Oregon run, Dylan Gabriel, like, they're both good college quarterbacks, I guess. Maybe they win at a few different places, but neither of them, would I say, would change the trajectory of a program. So I don't see it from those two. I think Chip Kelly, I wrote his name down only because we got to see his face a few times. It's kind of weird seeing him and Ryan Day hug and like celebrate with one another. Like, those are just two. Like, I like Chip Kelly, and he has a very hateable personality and a very hateable face. I dislike Ryan Day, and he has one of the most hateable faces in college football.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird
thing
because they have so many talented wide receivers that are exciting to watch. Their running backs are exciting to watch, but just something is lacking with that team. I don't know.
That's
my Ohio State, Penn State takes. Both good quality programs. Do I think Ohio State's number 3 still? No. Kidding me?
Okay. Now let's talk about the real number 3 team in the country, the SMU Ponies, the Mustangs.
I took a lot of heat online for lobbying to have game day at SMU Pitt. On no planet in any galaxy is SMU Pitt on the same level of like prestige and pageantry as an 11 o'clock kick in Happy Valley. on Fox.
Gus Johnson, though.
Exactly.
Dude, Gus was bringing it.
I watched both pre-games. I don't know if you caught any of that. And it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, the scene is what you would expect. But it didn't feel like you had two shows in competition for like putting out a unique product. Had they been in Dallas, I think you would have gotten that. 7:00 kick that was on ACC network, not even on ESPN because they threw Clemson, North Carolina, or Clemson, Louisville on that. And then you had what, A&M, South Carolina? Is that what got? Or was it Iowa, Wisconsin that got national ABC game?
That I don't know.
Maybe even Florida, Georgia. I have no idea. Something else. But we got relegated to the ACC network. And by the way this game went, it was the right call because Pitt got fucking embarrassed. And SMU in every way showed up as a real program, missing their top two receivers, missing like number 1 and 2 running backs from before the season started, and left no question that they were the better team from start to finish. And that was the first like real moment as an SMU fan where it's like, holy shit, we might be a good team. Not saying Pitt's great, but like that's usually a school/team that like kind of would limp their way to success in big moments like that. And they didn't. So it was a fun weekend for your boy.
I'm happy for you, KJ.
How's that bye? Served y'all well.
Yeah, it was. Look, Texas needs to get healthy. The fun bye, and I got to watch A&M get absolutely handled by the Cox. That was a lot of fun for me personally. Yeah. Unfortunate for them, they did lose their running back. They believe their top 2 running backs are now out for the season. This most recent one, Le'Veon Moss, knee injury, out for the season. Hate to hear that. I still think it's going to be a tough game. I mean, despite getting throttled by South Carolina, still think it's going to be a tough one. November 30th.
We kind of talked about how it's a little bit different getting having a different quarterback sprung upon you mid-game who does different things as opposed, and then when you get a whole week to scheme and plan. And South Carolina has a great defense.
Yes, they do.
So interesting there. Ponies, dude, I'm happy. I'm excited. I don't know why I thought that was going to be a dogfight. Probably for reasons you just described. You just assume it involves Pitt. They're a grimy team, gutted out, win, and absolute ass kicking on the hilltop in Dallas. So shout out.
Unnecessary shout or kudos, but Pat Narduzzi's been at Pitt for 10 years. He was Michigan State's D coordinator from before that. And so he's coached I don't think Aaron Donald was him. That might have been Wanstead right before him. But they've had some high-level names. Kenny, whatchamacallit. I can't think of his name. Quarterback a couple of years back when they had a really good run. They've had quality teams. SMU's played Louisville, Duke, and one other team of late where they ended up getting the win. And SMU's got a lot of players talk a lot of shit. A little bit to the point where I'm like, okay, a little more than I'm comfortable with. But that didn't happen in this game. And I don't know if it was direction from SMU's coach or the fact that Pitt just didn't. Even though they're losing, there was no post incompletion or Pitt made a couple catches. Their players weren't doing that. And I bring this up to say SMU had a player have a pretty severe neck injury. ACC Network decided to stay with it for 7 minutes. DeMar Hamlin length of time they stayed with it. And it was weird because almost immediately Rhett Lashley was motioning to his players, point his neck. It's okay. It's a neck injury. He's okay. But seemed very positive. He wasn't distraught and visibly impacted as much as it seemed like the scene was warranting. There's an ambulance on the field. And then did something I rarely see, went across the field damn near half midway and stood with Pat Narduzzi, the head coach of Pitt, and talked to him about it. And so most of the time when you see these severe player injuries, one of two things happen. Either everybody's shell-shocked or there's some animosity. If it was a dirty play or something like that, you think Travis Hunter a couple years back with Colorado State. None of that. And both teams were engaged on a knee, respectful, and it was a really cool like sportsmanship scene. But like it just was cool to see like one person, Rhett Lashley, managing the emotions of the entire situation. Like parents ran onto the field, like all wearing the jerseys of this player. Like it could have been a very sad scene, but like everybody was pretty chill about it. And kid has full range of motion. He's okay. Like everything came out positive, but it was just a weird, like 8 minutes of like, what the fuck am I about? What are we watching here?
Yeah.
And it wasn't so chaotic. And that was mostly because like your visual cues from what was going on the field.
Especially now, given like how divided we are as a country.
Yeah. Yeah. I co-sign, Dave.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do, especially now.
I mean, it's just
A lot of division.
yeah. What? It's true. It's a cool moment. I mean, not cool with the injury, but it's cool. It's nice to see, Randy. Jeez, everything's a fucking joke with Randy.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the Backest? This is my favorite new segment. Let's do it.
Who's the Backest? Presented by yours truly. Proprietary part of Too Much Dip. In this week's Who's the Backest, we have two things. I'll start with our one team and then go back to something a little bit more convoluted. Texas Tech.
Hey now.
Yeah. Big win. Big.
Sneakily in position and considerations or competition still for the Big 12 title game. Like there's kind of a glut of teams with 2 losses in the Big 12. And Texas Tech is one of them because they beat Iowa State on the road, who was previously undefeated.
Yeah, that's big. As they were, I'm judging this based on like these 6 tech accounts I follow on Twitter. They were ready
to fire him.
No, they were firing. He was Joey McGuire. There's been like 4 games this year where he's been gone. You don't.
But they only had 2 losses, right?
You don't beat Abilene
Tech?
Christian by 1 and then expect to keep your job.
You
home.
sneak past Abilene Christian, then you beat undefeated Iowa State in Ames. Same team,
In
same
the
coach.
rain at night. Like that's a game every Texas Tech team loses. Like going to Stillwater like late November, even though like Oklahoma State would be like a 3-loss team. Like that's a team good Big 12 teams lose. Going to Iowa State in November in the rain. That's a game that Big 12 teams lose.
I saw a tweet saying Texas Tech ruining some teams, title chances in November is so perfectly Big 12. And it's very true. That's very Texas Tech of them.
Got a big one at home. We got Colorado.
That's right.
Now they
And
are
love
now
it.
big
That's
noon
right.
kick.
That's a
Hosting
fucking.
both Urban
Prime.
Meyer and Prime.
Prime goes to Lubbock.
See, the way this goes, Tech beats Colorado at home, then goes to Stillwater and loses to a very bad Oklahoma State team.
Oklahoma State is so bad.
They suck.
They're terrible.
Against their old quarterback.
Alan Bowman.
Yeah, and then they got West Virginia. I mean, they could run it. They should run the table. I say that Colorado, I think, will be favored to win.
They should be
in Lubbock, but I don't know. Who knows? Good for Tech. That's a big dub. I mean, damn, Big 12's fun, man. Big 12 is sneaky fun. Big 12 is back in a big way. Is it not? It is fun.
It is. It's just the weird thing here is like we just named off, I don't know, count them 8 Big 12 teams that we all kind of had opinions on.
Mm-hmm.
Who's leading that conference?
BYU?
Undefeated BYU.
Yeah.
Which my brain still doesn't like log them as Big 12, A. And B, like they are kind of the thing that's holding SMU, like SMU's 13th and 15th in the polls. So in a way, it benefits SMU that's like who they've played and they remain undefeated. Because weirdly, I think if BYU would have lost, we'll say to Kansas State somewhere along the way, they would give BYU no respect had SMU beaten BYU. And SMU would be sitting at like 16 and undefeated. And we're already getting slighted by fucking Boise State. But like, again, it's all personal bias and interest. But I think BYU is kind of weirdly being overlooked, and their defense is really, really good.
Yeah.
So, we'll
BYU. Iowa State's remaining schedule at Kansas, Cincinnati, at Utah. Then a very, very salty final game in Ames versus Kansas State. So there you go.
That'd be fun.
That will be fun.
And that probably will be like the one loss team. Well, I don't know if Kansas State's lost 2 conference games, but that'll probably determine who's playing BYU if all shakes out. Yeah, BYU's got Kansas, Arizona State, and Houston.
K-State's 4-2 in conference. So.
Oh, and Utah. I'm sorry. They've got the Holy War coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Other half of who is the Backest, the SEC hype train. I joked a little bit about like Texas having a bye, so I left them off this list because I don't think they're a part of what I'm getting at here. Georgia's at number 2, and Tennessee is up to number 7. I'll start with Tennessee because I think Georgia spills back into Texas. Tennessee scored 28 points. They hadn't scored more than 25 since week 3. Like everybody, including us, was lauding like, oh man, their offense is putting up 50 a game, 60 a game, which shout out to Ole Miss for that. But like Tennessee has pretty much played the same like 24-17 game like 5 straight weeks, including beating Bama. But a lot of that's because their defense has not given up more than 18 like they just did to Kentucky. That was the most points they've given up since all year. So I don't know how good they are, but they're not good for the reasons maybe we expected or like believed about.
They're a 2-loss team, correct?
Yeah. No. They're 1.
1-loss team.
Ole Miss is a 2-loss team.
Right.
And that was going to be a big talking point because they had fucking 60 points or whatever, 5 touchdowns and 1 wide receiver. But again, they've got 2 losses. And then Georgia, real quick.
Yeah, Georgia, they keep winning. I mean, what's the stat? The only team they've lost to regular season is Alabama in the past of like 4 years or something like that. But they don't look good doing it. Carson Beck, 3 interceptions again. He looks like a shell of his former self. I think he really misses Bowers, and he had a receiver they lost to. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Georgia. They keep winning, like I said, so they deserve to be ranked top 5. But very inconsistent offensively.
I mean, I'm not here to say Georgia's not a good team. Like, lined up against most teams in the country, I think that they're winning. And I think that's what has them in that position. But a lot of it's projection. But then whatever the eye test equals, just like you said, like it doesn't look good. Like Florida, everybody wants to fire Billy Napier, including probably Billy Napier. And somehow he's made them competitive. Graham Mertz, who's not a good quarterback, former Wisconsin transfer, was out this week. DJ Lagway, their like freshman, presumably his future star quarterback, went down with, I think, a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was at the end, but like carted off hamstring injury in the 3rd quarter. And Georgia basically from that point on worked themselves back into the game. And it really started out after like a bad snap on a field goal attempt from Florida against their 3rd string quarterback. They not barely won this game. They controlled it, but still like it'll all correct itself if I'm, whatever accurate. It's just annoying to be like, that's the number 2 team in the nation.
I get it.
I don't know who I should say is there instead. I probably would lobby for like Texas, to be honest. Texas got embarrassed in the 1 game, but they've controlled every other game they've played in.
I'd put Ohio State too, I think.
I guess because of how close the Oregon game is.
Yeah, they just beat Penn State, who was top 10, top 5 at their place. They deserve it over Georgia, in my opinion.
I guess it doesn't matter the way that the 12-team playoff is set up, which I guess is what we can go to next or in the future. But it's just kind of this year, whatever it is, something is making teams seem more mid than ever.
Yeah.
Like Oregon, we're not even arguing about them being number 1. And they needed a field goal to beat Idaho and like some things to bounce their way, or field goal to beat Boise State and things to bounce their way to beat Idaho to start the year off. So
college football doesn't make any sense.
It's just wild. It's just wild. I love it. I love it all, but it's just wild.
Yeah, I'm pretty gracious about it. I fucked that up. Let's just not transition into that. We'll wait.
Rankings?
No.
You know what I was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday night, Tuesday night, right? Getting
Yeah.
the ranking. Okay.
First college football playoff rankings will be released Tuesday night.
That'll be the biggest event of the night.
Will it?
I would make Twitter a pay to enter for the next 36 hours. And I'd pay.
It's gonna be a wild ride.
Yeah.
It's going to be disgusting. Like, I thumbs down a text, and then this is not to skew things towards that, today in the group chat, only because it's tied to like how much of the stuff we're seeing bubble up of like just random off the wall stuff. Like, tomorrow's going to be ridiculous. We're going to get so many random sports, false alarm stories. Like, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And I, for one, am here for it, baby.
It's times like these that make me glad that we've got a great sponsor in BetterHelp.
Mm-hmm.
I love having BetterHelp as a sponsor of the show, Randy. This month's all about gratitude, okay? Sometimes it's hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything. And in this crazy world, that is not easy. Here's a reminder. Send some thanks to people in your life, including yourself. Include yourself. That's very important. If you're thinking of starting therapy, how about you give BetterHelp a try? It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. We've used it. We all believe in therapy.
I'm a huge fan of therapy and BetterHelp. It's helped. I've been doing therapy since like 2015. Always good to just go check in.
Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/muchdip today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/muchdip. Shout out to BetterHelp. To the NFL. Let's have some fun. Why are we banning Saquoning? What's the problem? You know, likey?
Again, as we just talked about the wild world that we all live in, I, for one, am here to think not only of myself and of the teams that I support, but of the children and the youth and how they often look up to superstars in the NFL. And furthermore, to our point about celebrations earlier in this episode, it's clear that there is a likelihood that celebrations will be imitated in other leagues to varying degrees of success. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to propose banning Saquoning to save you and your children from embarrassing themselves, just like my Jaguars were embarrassed by the Eagles and Saquon Barkley yesterday. As a grown man, I've never felt more shame than like the hope that was taken from me, but also this one small moment of just pure athletic prowess.
So you want to ban reverse hurtling defenders? Is that it?
It brings me too much shame. It's too much pain to see this again. Like, it was the most incredible thing I've seen on a football field since maybe the first time I've seen like the Odell Beckham catch. You know, not to bring up sad memories for the Cowboy fans, but like that was the first like, holy shit, are you kidding me moment in a long while.
I've never seen anything like it.
No. The fact that it was so perfectly timed and placed that the guy, I mean, it wasn't, anybody else tries that, they're getting their foot clipped and he falls very, very awkwardly.
Almost
executed almost perfectly.
And almost lost in this is that the spin move he put on a guy
nasty
1 second before that play was also an incredible move. If those were two separate plays, where I mean, they're still like, holy shit, you're talking about both of them, and they both happen in the same play. But that reverse hurdle was unbelievable. I've never seen. Yeah, it's hard to imagine being that athletically gifted.
Also lost in this is the fact that the Eagles very easily could have lost that game.
Oh yeah.
Despite like they were up by 2 scores, right? I mean, I'm watching that.
It might have been 22-0, maybe 20-0, whatever it was.
I hit KJ with a text.
Yeah. And I was barely like locked in every play at that point. Whatever I was doing, like laundry, something where TV's on, I'm watching, but not like across the board. Maybe even split screening with Red Zone. I don't know. But I then get engaged like right around the fumble. Jags score, whatever. But then the Eagles fumble and the Jags run it back, and it was reviewed. Very similar play happened back in 2017 against the Patriots in the AFC title game, but I won't go there. where it was clear that the guy wasn't down, ran it back, touchdown, great. And then they get the 2-point conversion again. I think it could go down 16-22. Is what it might have been. Again, 16-20, whatever it was. The Jags had to score. And they get an opportunity with the ball and 2 minutes left. And the existence of a Jags fan was put on display for everybody to see. Overperform. A lot of quality, like high skilled plays, like Evan Ingram showed he's a very talented player. Trevor Lawrence looked okay. And then they looked like the Penn State Nittany Lions in the red zone. And it just all kind of fizzled.
You think it's a good idea to throw a jump ball to your running back?
Not typically, no.
I mean, I'm watching that game just rooting against the Eagles. And because I thought it would just be a sick, hey, let's save Doug Peterson's job. I don't care. He should have been fired weeks ago. But,
in Philly, too, like it would have been a good story.
Sirianni would have been, oh, my God. It would have been amazing. Yeah, and then he throws that ball up, and I'm just, oh, no. It was a sick interception, but, dude, that's your running back. Unless you're – I feel like most guys aren't making that play.
I'll say this, like the Jags traded their starting left tackle the week prior to the Vikings, who lost their tackle. And in a moment where the Titans had already traded DeAndre Hopkins and they had declared they were trash, the Colts had benched Anthony Richardson, and the Texans had lost a game that they probably could have, should have, would have won, but like they were pulling away, but not as much as you thought. The Jags have consistently been like, you guys are underachieving, but maybe aren't a bad team. You have Christian Kirk break his collarbone, and then you trade your tackle, and you're like, okay, we're selling the farm. Doug Peterson's gone. Like, we're done here. And then for that last 2 minutes of the game, you're like, wait a minute. This could work. Let me look at the schedule again. This could, okay, we get this win. We stack a couple wins. Like, okay, this could work.
2 back at Houston, maybe.
Exactly. Like, back at Houston, like, you start lying to yourself as a fan, and it's just like, okay, This is dumb. Dumb. And all Saquon's fault for being so damn good at football that the Giants couldn't figure out how to fucking sign him. Like, that's also the part that's stuck in my mind. Like, this is a display of just, holy shit, what were the Giants thinking?
He had to get out of there.
Cowboys thinking? Like, what? You fired this guy over the phone.
It's insane. Best thing that's ever happened to him. So shout out to Saquon. Philly will be in Dallas this weekend, not facing Dak Prescott, who, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, going to miss some weeks with that hamstring. You gotta love. We've been calling him the most immobile quarterback in football. I don't know if that actually checks out, but I'm sure he's at the bottom 5 as far as mobility and rushing, and actually peels off a good run, starts using his legs a little bit more, and wouldn't you know it, the guy who didn't run all season just pops a hammy.
They're so cooked.
Just
ride this out for a high draft pick, and let's just regroup.
Here's the problem. Do you go? What do you do the rest of the season? Are you like, okay, you're not in the division race. You're technically in it, but you're not just chasing one team. You're chasing Philly and Washington. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get a wild card. But do you go Cooper Rush, who is your best option at backup, very competent, actually put them in a position to recover an onside kick and potentially go down and score and tie or win that game, actually.
Don't say that.
What?
But I'm accurate, but you and I both know that could have been said about every Cowboys loss this season, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm not saying it like would have happened.
I know you didn't believe it, like I'm the idiot who believed for the Jags, but I'm throwing out there like Jerry Jones says that same thing. Like we were in a position it was a 1-score game at the end and proud of guys.
Oh no.
I'm not arguing with you so much. I'm hearing that and it burns my heart to hear that from Cowboys fans.
Point is, do you do that? And I'm using that as evidence that he is the better option than the guy you just traded a 4th-round pick for, Trey Lance, who like we know he's not good. He looked terrible in the preseason. He threw 5 picks in the preseason. But you traded a 4th-round pick for him. Your GM did. Your owner did by himself on a whim. fuck it. Let's see what he's got. Don't you do that? Like, I know you're not I think you eventually get to that point. Like, you'll lose this week, and then you'll probably lose to the Texans the following week, whenever that is, and you'll be out of it. But, like, you want to see Trey Lance, right? It doesn't matter.
You might as well. Like you said, it doesn't matter. Let's see what this guy's got. I don't know.
It's not a good position.
This is just such a poorly led team from the front office to the coach. I don't know what they're doing anymore. No one gives a shit. It seems like.
I'm not even like passionate about the scathing review about this team, but like you had a 12-man in the huddle penalty on a 4th and 1, which insane. Not even talking about all the Zeke shit where he was inactive.
We haven't even mentioned that.
Grown ass man for disciplinary reasons.
Missing meetings.
His ninth year in the league. What are you doing?
He was missing meetings. What does he have on Jerry that Jerry just continues to say, oh, he's the best teammate. He's a pro. Missed some meetings, was late for a lot of things.
If he was putting up a $120 a game, you deal with this shit. But he's not good anymore.
No, he's not. And then also, something they didn't point out on the broadcast, I didn't know, but I heard on a radio show this morning. They had 10 guys on the field on a key 3rd down. Bijan got like 10 yards on the screen. They had 10 guys on the field. That feels like that doesn't happen in a pro football environment. What am I saying? In the NFL, that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen in college, but that's crazy.
The fake punt play, which they needed how many yards? Like 2 yards or something?
4th and 3, maybe.
Was it 3?
It was no more than 5 or 6.
It was a terrible call.
Decent throw.
Not a bad throw, but
ball was timed well. It wasn't just put in position. Anytime you have to break out the rule book immediately for fans, including myself, and remind people like, it's a punt. You can be jammed. You can be completely shoved and like damn near thrown as long as you're not held out of bounds. Like it's all okay.
Yeah, I am team. If you're going to go for it, like if you think that you need those 3 yards bad enough to fake it, just leave your wildly inept offense out there. Or, if the punter sees something, a lot of times they'll have the green light. Like, okay, he saw something. That's why he tucked it and ran. But
if they cover down and they leave him open, fake it. If they don't line up against your swinging gate, fake it.
It's so much bad.
You got Dak on the sideline saying we fucking suck with the camera picking it up. Not a good look.
Even that aside, what do you think the vibes were? Like prior to even when it was definitive that they were going to lose. That punt or the punt not converting. The 12 men on the field, I think that's when you got the Dalvin Cook head shake. And Fox loves some slow-mo disappointed CD Lamb. Because I think they put up about a minute of him just fully dejected.
Credit to CD Lamb for actually playing his ass off for the duration of that game. He might have been the only one there's some guys on defense running around, but he actually gave a shit.
Overshown
has some nice plays. He's flashing every game at this point.
I feel like I've been pretty critical about CD's body language and his rapport with the rest of the offense. Where I'm just like, okay, it's not going great, but at this point, he is so far and away your best player. Even when the whole team's healthy, he is your best player all around, and he's a fucking dog. Sprained AC joint, look painful. You're not going to hear me say anything bad about him anymore.
I guess I should clarify. I wanted to include him on that list because I don't think it's just a him problem. If there's ever been a clear message, I only brought up the Jags and then we led here because these are two coaches that should be fired. They just so happen to be the coaches of the teams that we root for. But we should be talking about Doug Peterson's replacement. The Saints fired their coach. Great. Kind of want to say, who cares? They lost 7 straight. I'll be interested to see what the rebuild looks like. Maybe we'll know some names of the interims. I don't know. But Mike McCarthy won't be fired, and he should be.
In fact, based on the interviews with the GM, also the owner, we might be a little active here around the trade deadline. We might be looking to add.
That's ridiculous.
We might be.
There's no hope for this.
They're gonna fuck around and be like, well, we obviously need a running back. And it's like,
they need an overhaul.
We need a running back in about 4 other very, very key positions.
That would be if they give up draft capital to insert
I don't know who.
one or two pieces. Like, what a joke that would be.
It's insane. It's insane. And we have Diggs has no interest in tackling. That's very real. Like not, and it's to the point to where my dumbass untrained eye, I can watch a play and not have to rewind it and just be like, who is that? It just like, oh, of course it was Diggs, absolutely whiffing on that. I wanted no part of trying to tackle Bijan, which hey, I get, or a tight end. It's so insane.
Now, see, you know, in football, Diggs' responsibility was to let Bijan wear himself out, running into the ground and into other players.
That's right.
That was his assignment. You know, shit.
Oh my God, dude.
I put the list of potential trade deadline targets on here only because there were two things that stood out. A, the list of legitimate trade targets in the NFL. Zadarius Smith, defensive end or edge in Cleveland, formerly of the Ravens. Adam Thielen, wide receiver with Carolina. Marshawn Lattimore, who's cornerback in New Orleans, tied to Kansas City right now. Those are the legitimate names on the list. Mike Williams, I think, is out there too, wide receiver up in New York. Do any of them play running back? Or do any of them play defensive tackle?
That's
no. So like, I'm sure there are people who could be acquired that this list didn't include, but I don't see it. And then I did see another post that is not legitimate. I don't think there's value in it, but it did make me wonder. And they won't do it. Are people really out there thinking that the Cowboys should trade Zach Martin and or consider trading Micah Parsons, which you can't do while he's injured, but still. Are people really thinking that should be the case?
They're thinking they should, but they won't. Like, if you want to move Zach Martin, like, fine.
He won't move Micah.
No.
There's no way.
No. He sells too many jerseys. There's not enough. No, Zach Martin, while he is like a future Hall of Famer. But you're not selling Zach Martin jerseys. You got to keep Micah around. But they won't. That would be the smart thing. That would be a good organization would actually have these conversations about anybody on the roster outside of. No, honestly, anybody on the roster. You're not getting rid of CD because he's 88, dude. You're not trading 88.
And Dak's contract you're stuck with. But otherwise, like,
yeah, no.
It should be on the table, and it is not.
What? Watch, is Sirianni going to come to town and just lay a turd and somehow get beat by Cooper Rush and have like, oh. Cooper Rush has won some games in this league, dude.
Cooper Rush is not a bad quarterback at all.
Granted, he had a legit O-line and a legit defense he was playing with. Those were really good. That was a good team.
I've seen people, I don't want to like restate the legitimate literally. Like being a Dallas fan or a Dallas citizen, you heard the era of people complaining about Tony Romo. Oh, yeah. And then complaining about Dak, like in favor of whoever's not the quarterback. And we are right at the precipice, if you will, of like people absolutely once again riding for Cooper Rush or anybody not Dak. And it's going to be an ugly 6 weeks. Like,
oh yeah.
Remember this point because at Thanksgiving dinner, somebody's going to be telling you they shouldn't have signed Dak. They've got Cooper Rush.
You should see my group text. I get it. I don't know. But I want to say, just go on the record again. I want Trey Lance, not because I think they're going to go on some crazy run with him, but at this point, why not just see? You traded a 4th round pick for him. Anyway.
I don't hate it.
Anyway. What else?
You want to run it back?
Lions are great.
Call it.
Run it back. We'll save that for another day. Lions are fun. Lions are great.
Zadarius Smith, the smoke there is he's going to Detroit, right? That's where, or is that just wishful thinking by?
I think that's what the rumor is as to why Dan Campbell was so giddy at the podium when he was asked about potential trade targets. But we'll see.
Jared Goff, last 30 targets for Amon-Ra St. Brown is 30 for 30.
It's good chemistry.
Solid.
And what is it? Last 5 games, 28 touchdowns and 26 incompletions.
Yes. He's on a generational run right now. Good for him. Good for the Lions.
Incredible.
Yeah. Let's run it back. The segment during which we talk about what we already talked about. Randy is lethal over short distances. Smoking on that gush. Don't try the headstand, Sully, unless you have a strong neck. Dave didn't catch the Pels the other night. Chip Kelly and Ryan Day have hateable faces. And finally, it was good to see Pitt and SMU come together, especially now given how the country is so divided. That concludes Run It Back.
Hey, I would be doing everybody a great disservice if I didn't give a shout out to the 6A Region 2 District 11 champs, Duncanville Panthers.
Dogs.
8-0. Let's go. Yeah, sorry.
Very good.
I would be, though. I would be remiss if I did not.
Well, don't text and drive. Get out the vote or die. You know, all those things.
Turn around. Don't drown.
Keep looking up because that's where the stars are.
Don't go to the freak off. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.